Picture this. You have seen the box score. You have seen the lowlights. You have watched the turnovers loop on social media. You have seen the utterly frustrated, exhausted look etched across Caitlin Clark's face. You probably think you know the story by now, right? A tough, grinding road loss for a struggling rookie team still trying to find its identity. That is exactly what the mainstream media wants you to think. But I'm here to tell you, that is not the real story. The game itself, the loss to the Dallas Wings, that was not the main event. That was just the catalyst. The real explosion, the absolute atomic bomb, happened after the final buzzer, in a quiet, comfortable radio studio, when the one person on this entire planet who was supposed to be Caitlin Clark's staunchest, most fiercely loyal defender, picked up a microphone and lit a fuse that could literally burn down the entire Indiana Fever franchise. Welcome back to WNBA She Serves. You already know why you are here. We don't do corporate PR spin. We don't sugarcoat the reality of this league. We give you the unapologetic, unfiltered, high-octane truth about the business and the blood sport of professional basketball. Grab a seat, lock in, and turn your volume all the way up. Because today, we are breaking down the exact moment that the Indiana Fever's own president of basketball operations, the legendary Lynn Dunn, publicly called out Caitlin Clark. We are going to dissect why this was not just a passing comment. This was a declaration, a calculated power play that changes absolutely everything about how this organization operates. And once you understand the layers, the strategy, and the potential betrayal involved here, I promise you, you will never look at the Indiana Fever the same way again. Let us hit rewind. Let us go back to the tape. The Fever are on the road. They are stepping into hostile territory, facing a hungry, physical, ruthless Dallas Wings team. The energy in the building is absolutely electric. But make no mistake, every single possession is a grueling, exhausting battle. Every single time Caitlin Clark even looks at the basketball, it is an absolute swarm. You see 2, sometimes 3 jerseys converging on her the exact second she crosses the half-court line. This is not just standard defense. This is a message. It is a statement from the rest of the league. It is a physical, brutal, unwelcoming initiation to the pros. Watch the tape closely. Early in the first quarter, Clark brings the ball up the floor. She is not even close to the three-point line, and Arike Ogunbowale is already completely inside her jersey, pressing, bumping, hand-checking, testing the absolute limits of what the officials will allow on a given night. A screen comes from Aaliyah Boston, but Natasha Howard hedges hard. It is practically a full-body block, forcing Clark to retreat back towards the timeline. She has already expended more physical energy in 8 seconds of a single possession than she did in entire quarters playing at Iowa. This is the strategy. This is the league-wide memo that has been passed around every single locker room. Make the rookie work for every single inch of hardwood. Make her bleed for it. Now, fast forward to the third quarter. The pressure is mounting. The legs are getting heavy. Clark gets a screen, but the defender fights over it and stays attached to her hip like glue. Howard shows hard again, forcing Clark to pick up her dribble in complete no-man's land 30 feet from the basket. The shot clock is aggressively winding down. She is being hounded. She is being suffocated, and you can visibly see the split-second decisions getting harder and harder to make as the oxygen leaves her muscles. She tries a desperate, fading cross-court pass to Kelsey Mitchell. The pass is a fraction of a second late. It is a few inches too high. Turnover. Dallas goes the other way for an easy, back-breaking 2 points. Look at Clark's reaction in that moment. A quick, agonizing glance at her hands. A massive shoulder slump as she slowly jogs back on defense. This was not just one isolated bad play. This was the entire game in a microcosm. Yes, she finished with 22 points, which looks fantastic on a box score for casual fans. But the 6 turnovers, the incredibly forced, contested shots, the visible, undeniable exhaustion, that tells the real, unfiltered story of what happened on that floor. The Fever lose the game. It is just another painful notch in the loss column during a brutal, unforgiving, opening stretch of the schedule. Now for most normal teams, this is where the story ends. You go to the locker room, you ice your knees, you watch the film the next morning, and you move on to the next city. But not for this team. And definitely not with this specific player. Because the pressure on Caitlin Clark does not just exist between the four lines of the basketball court. It is everywhere. It is omnipresent. It is suffocating. And little did she know, the biggest, most devastating source of that pressure was about to come from inside her own house. The very next day, Fever president of basketball operations Lynn Dunn goes on a local radio show. Now pay attention to the setting. This is not some aggressive primetime ESPN interrogation with Stephen A. Smith. This is a comfortable, friendly, local environment. Lynn Dunn is a legend. She is a Hall of Fame coach. She has seen absolutely everything this game has to offer. She is supposed to be the master architect, the steady, veteran hand guiding this extremely young, vulnerable team through a Category 5 media storm. The radio host lobs a softball question. He asks her about the game. He asks about the extreme physicality that Clark is facing night in and night out. We all know what is supposed to happen here. We all know the corporate PR playbook. It is a boilerplate response. You say, she's a rookie. She's learning the ropes. The physicality is a massive adjustment for everyone who enters the WNBA. We believe in her completely. And we as a coaching staff need to do a better job of putting her in positions to succeed. That is the script. You protect your number one asset. You protect the player who is literally paying the bills and chartering the flights for the entire league. You deflect the blame. You defend your star, and you support her publicly. But that is not what happened. Instead of throwing a shield over her rookie, Lynn Dunn started by acknowledging the obvious. She spoke about Clark being hounded. She validated the idea that the defense on her was extreme and bordering on unfair. And then she dropped the absolute hammer. Lynn Dunn said, and I want you to burn this specific phrase into your memory. She said that Caitlin needed to build up her stamina. Let that sink in. Let those words echo in your mind. Stamina. She did not critique her shot selection. She did not criticize her passing decisions. She did not question her basketball IQ. She went straight after her physical conditioning. The one single aspect of basketball that is entirely about effort, preparation, off-season work, and endurance. This was not some vague critique hidden in confusing coach speak. This was a direct, public, unvarnished assessment of her biggest perceived weakness at the professional level. Lynn Dunn essentially went on the radio and confirmed the exact narrative that opposing teams were pushing. She confirmed that you can wear Caitlin Clark down. She confirmed that you can break her with physicality because she simply does not have the engine, the lungs, or the stamina to handle it for 40 minutes against world-class, fully grown athletes. This is the exact moment everything changes for the Indiana Fever. A team president does not use the word stamina by accident. This is not a slip of the tongue. This was a highly calculated, deliberate statement. This was a message sent with a ballistic missile. The real question we have to answer today is, who was that missile actually calculated for? You have to zoom out. You have to understand the massive, billion-dollar context surrounding this franchise. You cannot analyze this radio comment in a vacuum. The Indiana Fever did not just draft a point guard out of Iowa. They drafted a global cultural phenomenon. They drafted ticket sales that have skyrocketed by 1,000%, not just at home, but for every single road team they play. They drafted charter flights for the entire league. They drafted record-breaking TV ratings and a level of intense, suffocating media scrutiny that the WNBA has never ever experienced in its history. Every single breath this organization takes is under a microscope. And right in the dead center of this absolute circus is a 22-year-old rookie just trying to find her footing against the best, most physical players in the world. Players who, let's be honest, seem to have a massive personal vendetta against her. They are tired of hearing about the newcomer who was anointed the savior of the league before she even laced up her sneakers for a professional game. In that highly toxic, high-pressure environment, the front office is supposed to be a fortress of solitude. They are supposed to be a titanium shield. Their one job is to absorb the public pressure so the players can just focus on putting the ball in the hoop. But with that one single word, stamina. Lin Dunn did not just fail to shield her star player. She took the absolute worst criticism that was coming from the outside haters. She completely validated it. And then she amplified it through the team's own massive megaphone. The message she sent to the world was clear. The problem is not just the opposing defenses. The problem is not just the referees swallowing their whistles. The problem is also our own star players' physical conditioning. This is where we have to do the deep dive. This is where you have to ask yourself the million-dollar question. Was this a massive, catastrophic, unforced error? Was it a moment of careless, accidental candor from a veteran who should have known way better? Was this a brilliant, high-risk, high-reward maneuver from an old-school operator who was playing a completely different game of chess than everyone else? There are exactly 3 ways to look at this, and you have to decide which one you believe. Let us break down the theories. Perspective number 1, the catastrophic mistake. This was a colossal blunder, an act of pure self-sabotage that borders on managerial malpractice. You never, ever, under any circumstances, publicly call out the conditioning of your franchise player. Especially not a rookie who is currently carrying the financial weight of the entire league on her shoulders. Why? Because it signals massive internal division. It tells every other head coach in the WNBA, hey, your strategy is working perfectly. Keep being physical. Keep hounding her. Keep beating her up, because even her own boss agrees she cannot handle it. It is exactly like a general standing on a battlefield and telling the enemy exactly where his best soldier's armor is the weakest. It gives unlimited fuel to every single talking head on television. It feeds every Twitter troll. It arms every critic who desperately wants to see Caitlin Clark fail. It puts Clark on an island by herself. Now, when she looks gassed in the 4th quarter, it is not just a casual observation by a fan. It is a confirmation of her own president's criticism. It creates a vicious narrative that she has to fight against every single day, not just on the basketball court, but in every post-game press conference, in every media scrum, in every interview. It is a deep wound inflicted by friendly fire, and in professional sports, friendly fire is often the hardest to recover from. More than that, it completely undermines head coach Christy Sines. The head coach is the one who manages the minutes. The head coach is the one who designs the offensive system. By going over her head and complaining about stamina on the radio, the president of basketball operations is subtly shifting the blame away from the front office and putting it squarely on the player and the coaching staff. It creates a massive, glaring crack in the chain of command. From this angle, Lin Dunn broke the #1 unbreakable rule of sports management: protect your superstars at all costs. She chose public commentary over a private, closed-door conversation, and in doing so, she made the cornerstone of her franchise profoundly vulnerable. But then, there is the other side, the darker, more cynical, and perhaps much more brilliant perspective. Perspective number 2, the motivational masterclass. What if this was not a mistake at all? What if this was 4D psychological chess? Stick with me here. Lin Dunn is an old-school basketball mind. She is a Hall of Famer who comes directly from the Pat Summitt School of Thought. She comes from a bygone era of basketball, where you absolutely did not coddle your stars. You challenged them, you pushed them to the brink, you forged them in absolute fire. Perhaps this was not a criticism meant to hurt or demean Caitlin Clark. Perhaps it was a calculated public challenge meant to ignite a fire under her. It is a high-stakes, ruthless way of saying, the entire world is watching you. I see exactly what they see. I am not going to lie to the media to protect your ego. Now go hit the treadmill, get in the weight room, and prove us all wrong. It is a psychological power play. By voicing the criticism herself, Dunn takes complete control of the narrative. She is no longer just reacting defensively to what Charles Barkley or Shannon Sharpe are saying on TV. She is setting the terms of the debate herself. And ask yourself this: who was the message really for? Was it just for Caitlin? Or was it for the other 11 players sitting in that Indiana Fever locker room? Think about the locker room dynamics for a second. When one single rookie gets all the attention, all the massive shoe deals, all the national commercials, and all the headlines, resentment can build very quickly. Aliyah Boston was the unanimous Rookie of the Year just 12 months ago. She was a #1 overall pick, and suddenly she is being treated like a secondary option. Kelsey Mitchell is a veteran elite scorer who is now being asked to completely change her role to accommodate a rookie. By publicly pointing out that even the golden child has flaws, that even the savior needs to work harder on her stamina, Lynn Dunn could be sending a very loud, subtle message to the rest of the roster. She is not untouchable. She has to be held accountable just like the rest of you. We are the Indiana Fever. We are a team. We are not just the Caitlin Clark traveling circus. It is an incredibly dangerous game to play, but it could be a way to recenter the team's focus. It reminds everyone that winning championships requires more than just one superstar hitting logo threes. It is a massive power move to assert that the culture of this team is set by the veterans in the front office, not by the Instagram fame of its newest draft pick. And finally, there is perspective number 3, the Machiavellian Trojan horse. This one is even more strategic. What if the target of this radio message was not inside the Fever locker room at all? What if this entire message was specifically designed for the league office in New York, and for the referees blowing the whistles? Listen closely to how Dunn packaged her comments. By first using strong words like hounded and explicitly pointing out the extreme, borderline illegal physicality before she even mentioned the word stamina, Dunn is building a legal case. The unspoken part of her argument to the league is this: yes, her stamina needs to improve, but her stamina is only failing because your officials are allowing her to get physically assaulted every single night without calling a foul. It is a brilliant public appeal for more whistles. It is a way to pressure the WNBA into protecting its biggest star and its biggest financial investment. She is essentially looking at the league commissioner and saying, "We are doing our part to fix her endurance in practice, but you need to do your part and fix the atrocious officiating that is draining her in the first place." In this light, the comment about stamina is not actually the main point. It is the Trojan horse. It is the spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. She gives the appearance of holding her own player accountable, which gives her immense credibility when she ultimately complains about the league. If she just goes on the radio and screams about the referees, she gets slapped with a massive fine and looks like a complaining loser. But if she packages that complaint inside a tough love critique of her own player, it is a masterful manipulation of the media cycle. She turned a moment of weakness into a massive point of leverage. So, which one is it? A catastrophic rookie management mistake? An old-school motivational tactic? Or a highly calculated message to the league office? The terrifying truth is, it could be all three at the exact same time. It is a complex, multi-layered move from a veteran who knows exactly how to play the game, both on the hardwood and in the media. But regardless of the intention, this is the absolute moment of escalation. After Dunn's comments hit the internet, everything changed. The narrative was cemented in stone. Every single game going forward has become a real-time referendum on Caitlin Clark's stamina. Watch the national broadcasts from the very next game. The commentators are no longer just talking about her shooting mechanics. They are obsessively talking about her conditioning. They are saying things like, "Let's see how her conditioning holds up here in the fourth quarter. Lynn Dunn mentioned her stamina this week. Let's see if she has the legs." The seed of doubt was planted by her own front office, and now the entire world is watching it grow. Look at Clark late in the fourth quarter of these tight games. She drives to the basket. She absorbs contact. No call. The ball goes out of bounds. She puts her hands on her knees for 2 seconds just to catch her breath. Is she actually tired? Or is she just frustrated by the lack of a foul call? Before Lynn Dunn's comments, the fans would assume she was just frustrated with the refs. Now, the narrative is already written for us. Her stamina is failing her. She is gassed. She can't handle the pros. It completely reframes every single action on the court. It reframes every bit of body language. And this is the true lasting impact. It created a self-fulfilling prophecy, a toxic lens through which everyone will now view her performance. The pressure has amplified tenfold. Every time she is subbed out of the game, the questions will start. Every single missed shot in the last 5 minutes of a game will be automatically attributed to fatigue. Lynn Dunn did not just make a comment on a radio show. She handed a loaded weapon to every single one of her team's opponents and every single one of Clark's critics. The battle for Caitlin Clark is no longer just about winning basketball games. It is about fighting a suffocating narrative that originated from inside her own organization. So where does this leave the Indiana Fever? This is the absolute critical juncture. This is the fork in the road. This moment will either be the tiny crack in the foundation that eventually crumbles the entire franchise, or it will be the brutal trial by fire that forges a champion's mentality. If the relationship between the front office and its superstar player is fractured, if there is a fundamental lack of trust behind the scenes, this entire experiment is doomed to fail. Massively talented teams fall apart because of internal politics and toxic leadership all the time in professional sports. The pressure of being the team that drafted Caitlin Clark is immense. And if the leadership is not perfectly, seamlessly aligned with its star, that pressure will completely crush them from the inside out. You will see it in the bad body language. You will see it in the hesitant plays. You will see it in the passive-aggressive off-court interviews. The entire financial and competitive future of this franchise, a future that looks so incredibly bright on draft night, now hinges entirely on how they navigate the fallout from this one specific radio interview. On the other hand, if Caitlin Clark responds to this as a challenge, if she and Lynn Dunn had a conversation behind closed doors and came to a mutual understanding, this could be the ultimate turning point. It could be the exact moment Clark realized that the WNBA is a completely different beast, and that her historic college superstardom means absolutely nothing when she steps onto a professional floor. It could be the brutal wake-up call that unlocks an entirely new level of elite preparation, a new level of physical dominance and mental fortitude. The greatest athletes in the history of sports, the Jordans, the Kobes, the Bradys, are defined by how they respond to adversity. And sometimes the most painful adversity has to come from the people who are supposed to be sitting on your side of the table. The stakes literally could not be higher. This is about so much more than just one rookie season. It is about whether the biggest, most economically powerful star to ever enter women's basketball will have the internal support system to actually succeed and build a dynasty, or if she will become just another tragic cautionary tale of a transcendent, once-in-a-lifetime talent completely undermined and destroyed by her own incompetent organization. Now, I turn it over to you. We have broken down the tape. We have analyzed the radio comment from every conceivable angle. We have explored the motives, the devastating consequences, and the high-stakes game of chess being played behind closed doors in Indiana. Was this a catastrophic failure of leadership from Lynn Dunn, throwing her rookie superstar under the bus at the worst possible moment? Or was it a highly calculated, brilliant high-risk move by a veteran basketball mind trying to build a champion the hard way? Is Lynn Dunn a clueless executive, completely out of touch with the modern athlete? Or is she a master manipulator, playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers? There is no easy answer here. This is a move that will be endlessly debated for years, and its true success or its ultimate failure will only be seen in the championship banners that do or do not eventually hang from the rafters in Indiana. Let me know exactly what you think down in the comments section below. Was this an act of betrayal, or was this brilliant strategy? Put yourself in that front office chair. If you were the GM, would you have gone on the radio and made that comment? I want to read every single unfiltered opinion you have. Do not forget to smash that like button to feed the algorithm, and hit subscribe to join the WNBA She Serves family. Because the incredible dramatic story of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever is just getting started, and we will be right here on the front lines to break down every single critical moment. Keep your eyes on the court, because the WNBA is officially on fire.